Hello and welcome to A Game of Two Halves, where we review a week where Gea Sparkles, Nasri Startles and Salah is king of the castle. Elsewhere, Everton win, Burnley win, and Cardiff and Huddersfield ends in a farcical stalemate where Neil Warnock talks about Brexit. Join us as we delve into the Premier League news, reviews and previews for the weekend just gone and the weekend ahead. Sam, how are you?
Hello, I'm good actually.
Good. Do you enjoy this weekend's football?
Yes, although didn't seem to be many strikers about this weekend.
No, it wasn't a weekend for the goals, was it?
No, not many of them about, but still some good games.
Indeed. Hey, Everton won a game.
Oh, thank God for that.
So
You should have heard me shout when we scored that second goal.
I'm fairly sure I could. But we'll come to Everton. There's only one place to start, really. That is Wembley, where we must lay to rest Tottenham Hotspur's title challenge 2018-2019. They were beaten 1-0 by a Rashford goal to a resurgent Manchester United. Before we go into the game itself, I think we can probably agree that is Spurs' title challenge dead and buried now. Gone. Finito.
Yes, Spurs are staying as Spurs.
Yes.
And they look lacklustre.
They really did, didn't they?
They didn't seem to have much threat about them. I don't know whether the Sissoko injury towards the end of the first half, whether that was a problem for them. They had to restructure slightly with Lamella coming on. They just didn't seem at the races.
No, United controlled the midfield. Pogba in particular really did run rings around Harry Winks. Big game for him to try and be thrown into. I don't think he played particularly well, Winks. I thought he was out-muscled and out-fought in every sort of play he was involved in. Interesting, I thought Tottenham's best player was probably Llorente when he came on. He offered the most threat. I'm with you, I don't think they offered a great deal throughout the game. But any time they did get a shot away, there was a big foot of a Spaniard in the way.
Foot, hand, face, leg.
Anything that goes.
He seemed to get everything in the way.
The De Gea octopus was in full fashion, wasn't it?
I saw a lovely picture on Instagram of him pulling down his shutters in front of the goal and saying "not on Sundays," which I thought was excellent. But yeah, he had a stunning game, back to some of the form that he showed last season.
Yes, he is absolutely. Some of the saves were outrageous, but that said, I think the biggest chance for Tottenham goes to Ali, where he's put clean through. He's got to score. It's a good save to Gea, but you shouldn't even be given the chance. Go between the legs, go across goal.
Yeah,
you've got to score that.
A lot of the shots, you have to say, from Tottenham were very close to De Gea, and it's his reactions that make them good.
Yeah, I mean they're saves, but without trying to give De Gea too much of a discredit, they're saves you'd expect a top keeper, your Edisons, your Allisons.
Yeah, you got
to
be able to react to them. They're not sort of like top corner wonder saves.
No,
but they're consistent saves, one after the other. A couple of double saves in there as well.
Indeed. So will Solskjaer ever lose a game?
Wow, it's looking good, isn't it? 6 wins in a row now, 1 in the FA Cup, 5 in the league.
Biggest test was this, and it was well negotiated. That's the best I've seen United play for. I mean, they played well against Bournemouth. Don't get me wrong, teams like, but against a big team, this is the best I've seen United play for this season for sure.
Yeah, there are always going to be question marks when you come up against another top 6 team.
Yeah,
and I think they showed their pedigree that we're used to, and looking at how fluid they were. I mean, Tottenham were on the attack, but United were still leaving 3 up.
Yeah, they were. They moved the ball so well from defence to midfield to the strike force. United, it just all flowed, didn't it? It just went from one to the other, and a chance was created more often than not. I thought Pogba in particular had a very good game. Interesting post-match comments that he's now allowed to go forward, and who knew, if you take the shackles off Paul Pogba, he's quite a good player.
Yeah, I mean, he showed it at the World Cup, and you never really understood the situation that he was in with Mourinho. When you can see you've got a player of that class, you need to let him free. Messi gets a free role, Suarez has a free role, Hazard, Salah. You give them the space to express themselves.
Yeah, you tell the other 10 what to do, and you tell your main man, go and do what you do best.
Yeah.
Moving on to Tottenham, where do they go from here? What are Tottenham? Because they've got a world-class manager in Pochettino. They are an under-resourced team. I think that's fair to say. We've seen, they don't bring in the 50, 60, 70 million pound players time and time again like the other teams in the top 6 have done. So what does that send out message-wise to Pochettino, to Harry Kane, De Dele Alli, Christian Eriksen, these top players. Because to me, they're just never going to win anything at Tottenham. FA Cup, maybe they're not. Let's get it right. They're not going to win the Premier League this year.
No.
Or I can't see them winning it in the foreseeable future. I think City and Liverpool are streets ahead of them. United are only going to get better, and I think Tottenham's chance to win the Premier League has come and gone. We've had the rest of the top six go through transition periods, and I think most of them are out of it now.
Yeah, that season where Leicester went on to win the league, I think was Tottenham's best chance,
Yes,
and
yeah,
they
I
finished
agree.
10 points behind them.
I agree. What are Tottenham? They're not going to win the Champions League. Let's get that right.
No.
They may go quite far this season. They're not going to win it. It's as simple as that. So what are Tottenham? What does Pochettino, Kane, Ali Eriksson, these big players do? Because at the minute, top four, that's good. But you don't even get well paid for finishing top four.
No.
And there's going to come a time, we sort of the Arsenal that, well, finishing top four was fine. The players are on good wages. They're happy to get top four every year. It was good enough for the board to get top four every year. Everyone seemed happy. I can't see that being the case at Spurs because the players aren't on those big wages, and they're going to want to win trophies at the end of the day.
Well, Tottenham are being Tottenham at the moment.
Yeah.
I know they're lacking the investment because of the new stadium being built, but you've got to be able to bring in a marquee signing each season, really.
Yes.
You look at those top six teams, in the last 3 or 4 years, all of them have brought in at least one marquee signing.
Yeah, even Arsenal done it with nice of Aubameyang.
Yeah.
And that's Arsenal with the millions locked away in the cupboard.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens this summer for Tottenham. Obviously, they've got the new stadium coming up. They'll be there next year.
Hopefully.
But talking about things that'll be there next year, I wouldn't be overly surprised if Pochettino, Ali, Kane aren't there next year. I can see them all moving on.
Well, if Solskjaer keeps up this form, I'm not sure Pochettino will be going to United.
It'll unravel for Solskjaer at a point, and the minute he is living off, to a degree, the fact that he's not Mourinho, and Pogba
Yes.
pretty much intimated that himself in, as you mentioned, his post-match comments. Basically, anyone who wasn't Mourinho could go in there and do quite well if they're positive. I think Solskjaer probably is a good manager. I think he's probably a good motivator. I still can't get over his accent. It confuses me. It's
the northern Swedish.
yeah, it's so bizarre. But he seems a nice guy, and he seems to be doing a good enough job there. If they don't go for Pochettino, I think he'll go to Real Madrid anyway. I don't see
Yeah.
Pochettino at Spurs one way or the other next season. And I think it's only a matter of time before Man United break a bank for Harry Kane,
Yeah.
and Manchester City break the bank for Dele Alli,
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Ericsson to Barcelona.
With the way that Rashford's playing at the moment, I don't think Lukaku is going to get too many starts. Yes, he'll come on as a sub, and if he impresses, then he might push for a start occasionally. But with the way Rashford is playing at the moment, he's so positive, he's so quick, he's ready to make those runs that Lukaku just doesn't seem to be making.
I think Rashford gets better if he's got Kane alongside him. I think he's even better then. Of course, Toby Alderweireld is going to be allowed to go for 25 million in this summer.
Yeah.
To me, I think the wheels are about to come off Tottenham this summer. They've done very well, and I don't want to rag on them too much. They're overachieving in many ways with the squad and investment they have. But this reminds me a little bit of Monaco a couple of seasons ago. They've got a group of really good players. They're punching above their weight, but look at Monaco now. They've had the heart ripped out and had the team dismantled. We look at the players they had in that Champions League season when they got to the semis. You look at either the Marth, Fabinho, Mbappe,
Yeah.
Moutinho,
And they just seem to have sold off their squad, and now they're
Bernardo Silva.
floundering at the bottom of Ligue 1.
I'm not saying Tottenham will get relegated. I'm not going that far at all. But I do think we'll see a Monaco-esque situation or a Dortmund-esque situation at Spurs over the coming season, because they're going to have to start selling players to fund the stadium, because obviously that's cost them a lot. The same way Arsenal have had to do years of austerity. And the bottom line is, players like Kane don't want to go through their careers and not win a trophy, and that is a big possibility for those players at the moment. Your Alis, your Kanes, they may go through their career and never win a trophy.
Yeah, at some point I think they will get restless.
Yes. Okay, well, that's enough about the late game on the Sunday. Shall we move on to, stay in London, but move on to West Ham and Arsenal?
Oh, it was a fantastic derby.
That was a really good game. I enjoyed this one.
Early kick-off on the Saturday. West Ham previously only won 1 in 21 games at home against Arsenal.
Yep.
And a performance against Arsenal this weekend where you'd be surprised at that stat. They seem to dominate the game.
Rice, baby.
Don't you start.
We'll come on to Rice in a moment, but you're right. I thought West Ham were better in every department throughout the game. I thought they were really up for this one. West Ham hard into the tackle, passed well. There's some brilliant periods in the game when neither side could string 3 passes together. I thought it was a really good game of football. As a neutral, I really did enjoy this one, and I think that West Ham thoroughly deserved it.
Yeah, they certainly did. I think Nasri coming in, he looked like he'd been there for a couple of seasons.
Well, I've got a funny tweet on this from an Arsenal fan on Twitter who I quote as follows: Nasri has taken 6 months off football, smashing drugs and hookers, sick allegedly. First game back in the Prem is better than any Mkhitaryan performance ever. And to a point, I agree with him. I thought Nasri was unbelievable in this game. Just some incredibly deft touches. You saw why he was such a player in demand, and you can see why people used to rave about him, because his intelligence and his quick thinking and his quick feet, they are stunning.
Well, not even just his quick feet, he's standing still sometimes, and he just finds himself in 5 yards of space with like seconds to do with the ball what he wants.
The assist for the goal was excellent. The way he brings it down and then just cushions it to Rice, and Rice with a fantastic finish. Great for him to score his first goal for the club.
Yeah, you could see how much it meant to him as well in his celebration. He was so passionate.
Did you see him after the game?
Yeah.
Down the pub with the West Ham fans.
Yeah,
top stuff. You want to see more of that. But it just leads me to a bigger point, I suppose, that Arsenal really did lack any sort of metal in midfield. You think they've got tough players like Xhaka and people like that in their midfield, Torreira, Guendouzi, players like this, and they were outclassed by Noble, who is 75, and a 4-year-old in Declan Rice. I mean, I'm exaggerating slightly, but I thought that those two players absolutely dominated the midfield, and obviously Noble and Rice work so well together.
Yeah, I think Rice under Noble's tutelage is really coming through, and I heard earlier on this week that one of their former players, when Rice was coming through the academy, could see that he was going to be a top player.
Yep.
And he's 20 years old today, I believe, and you can see that he's got England potential. Let's hope he chooses England.
I think I saw a picture of him today in an Ireland shirt.
Oh dear.
But, yeah, I can't confirm that for sure. I've got down on my notes here that Arsenal didn't really have a clear-cut chance. There's a couple of shots, but Fabianski wasn't really tested. And I suppose that leads me to Ozil wasn't even in the squad.
Nope. I
mean, we dread to think what his problem is this time, but
probably a broken nail.
Could well be. But this does force the question of Arsenal lack creativity. They have a creative player in Ozil.
Play him.
Play him. I don't understand what's going on
even
here.
If he doesn't want to be played, like Arnautovic maybe at West Ham, he's one of those players that on his day he'll play everyone else off the park.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to get those days where he can't be bothered, he looks lethargic and very lacklustre, but on those days where you really need him, he might just actually step up and win you a game.
Yeah.
And in a situation like against West Ham, they needed that creativity in midfield, because although there were chances for Arsenal, they were poor chances and they weren't taken very well.
Fabianski never looked troubled, did he?
No.
Arsenal also badly need a centre-back, don't they? Some of the defending at times was, shambolic is the only word to describe it, isn't it?
Well, they started with 3 centre-backs, the only 3 centre-backs I think they have fit at the moment, and they just look slow and not up to the pace.
Looks like they've never seen each other before.
Yeah.
And they look so... We'll come on to how Fabinho sort of slipped almost seamlessly into the back four for Liverpool. The Arsenal defenders just looked like they'd never met before and had no idea what they were supposed to be doing. It was quite shocking. Finally, on this one, West Ham could be about to lose Arnautovic, of course.
Yeah, the substitution in the second half was quite telling.
It was.
I think.
It was a big sort of round the ground applause.
Yeah, it was the waving goodbye and sort of like taking it all in for the last time.
I'm disappointed if he does go, because he's only 29.
Yep.
There's still a good few seasons of Arnautovic in the Premier League, and he is such a big player for West Ham.
Have you heard who his agent is?
It's his dad, isn't it? Or his
it's
brother.
His
his brother.
And I think that the money that they're going to make between them, I think you can't... Well, certain players can't turn that down in their career.
No, I think Genius made a good point in Match Today, is that West Ham are building something here they're very good. They've got a very good squad.
They can use the money from him.
And if you've got a player that doesn't want to be there, just let him go. Reinvest the money, let him go. I mean, it's similar to Dembele at Tottenham. I can't believe that he's been allowed to go to China in a midst of them having a central midfield crisis. It baffles me that they've got Dyer out injured, Winks isn't quite good enough yet. Skip, I mean, let's skip to the good bit, and you're letting Sissoko's now out injured, as I say. Now Dembele's been allowed to leave to China. It's absolutely bizarre. Final point on West Ham before we move on. They could be in the contention here to win the Everton Cup.
Yes, I've got written down in my notes Europa League ? And I think the performances that they've shown recently, I know they had a slow start under Pellegrini,
but
they're
it's coming
building.
together, isn't it? It's coming together.
They're still building, and it'll be interesting to see if they sign anyone in this transfer window.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've got a good record against top six. I think
do.
only being beaten. The Wolves have only got a better record than them.
Yes, 2 points better off.
So if you can pull out those occasional performances like they've done against Arsenal here, then I could quite easily see them finishing 7th.
They're going to be battling it out with Wolves and Watford and Leicester. It's going to be quite an exciting race for 7th this year, I think.
Hopefully.
There's 4 or 5 really good teams in and around there. Moving on then, we're going to go to Chelsea, Newcastle next. This was an interesting game because I thought Newcastle played quite well.
They did once they'd had that shock of that first Chelsea goal.
Yes.
That seemed to come out of nowhere. Just one long ball over the top from Luis. Pinpoint accuracy to Pedro.
Yes.
And a lovely chipped goal by him.
Oh, beautiful.
But after that, Chelsea didn't really create anything for like 25, 35 minutes.
No, they allowed Newcastle back into the game. If Newcastle had a striker that isn't called Perez, they could well have won the game. He is absolutely useless. What is the point? It reminds me of Argo Aspas. Just he's sort of there. He's turns up and fair play, but I mean the chances of him actually scoring are so low. I mean I don't think he scored it's Hosselu, so he hasn't scored an away goal in his England career.
On the contrary, though, I think Rondon played really well yesterday.
I like Rondon. I think he's a real important player for Newcastle.
And his hold-up play is just what you
it's
want
excellent.
from that type of player that's playing one up front. Needs to bring in people around him off the wings and breaking from midfield. But yeah, I think he looked solid and he was unlucky not to get a goal.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a good win for Chelsea. They've had a few sort of iffy results of late, and a lovely winner by Willian with a really nice finish.
It's a fantastic strike, wasn't it?
A great finish.
Yedlin's sacrificing himself for letting Willian turn inside and take the shot, because that's what Willian does.
But he's still got a lot of the goal to aim at, little goal to aim at.
Yes.
And he does really, really well to convert. I don't know if you saw Rio Ferdinand's thoughts on Newcastle and the Mike Ashley situation. What I thought was really telling was, I was only watching on the TV, but you could hear the Newcastle fans chanting they want Ashley out at an away game. I mean, at home you expect it, but to hear them at an away game, I mean, no, Stamford Bridge isn't exactly a cauldron of atmosphere.
No.
But the fact you could hear them coming through the telly that they want Ashley out. And then Ferdinand made the point that if you're trying to sell your house, you don't spend loads of money doing it up.
Yeah.
Ashley's trying to sell the club. Why to invest in the transfer market now? But I do think that Newcastle are really starting to hover now. They're getting dragged in. I mean, are they now in the bottom 3?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, they're a point behind Cardiff, and they're just not getting enough good results.
no.
Especially against the teams around them, they seem to be struggling. Yes, Benitez knows how to pull out a result against a top team occasionally, but we didn't quite see that yesterday. I think he was unlucky in parts.
But he's got the games coming up against the teams down the bottom in the round, and they've got to start picking up points in these games.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Newcastle go down, because in the same way I didn't really want to see Sunderland go down. That is a club that is so important to the city. It's the fans are some of the most passionate in the Premier League, and I don't like to see clubs go down because their owners have ripped the heart and soul out of the club. If you go down because you're not good enough, you go down because you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Newcastle should be challenging sort of top 10. They should be potentially even challenging the Everton Cup. For a club that size, in a city that strong support, it does upset me as a neutral football fan to see that club going down the pan because of one man's selfish attitude. But he's not going to put any money in the club. He's not going to sell the club. I don't know what happens here for Newcastle, because going into the season you'd say, well, they'll be okay, there'll be 3 worst teams. At the minute, I don't think anyone would expect Cardiff doing so well. Southampton are, for me, only on the up. I think Hassan Hudl has really taken off there. And Palace aren't going to go down, so at the minute they're in...
Burnley have just won 3 league games in a row.
So yeah, Newcastle in big trouble now. I don't think they need to sack Benitez. I think if they sack Benitez, they can wave goodbye to the Premier League. I think the fact they're only...
Certainly.
I think the fact they've got a chance is down to Benitez and Benitez only. I think the fans accept that. I think Benitez probably knows that as well.
I wouldn't be that surprised if he walked at the end of the season, though. Because he's been through, what, 3-4 seasons of this now? And to be able to put up with that much, yes, he's brought them up from the Championship, he did well there, but you'd expect Newcastle to do well in that division. Because they had a squad that had just come down from the Premier League that should be going out and winning that division, and with someone of Benitez's quality, he's a manager that can take you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
One more thing in this game.
Yep.
Sarri, not happy again with how Chelsea played, which I think is fair.
Yeah, they didn't play well.
It seems like they've got into this style, very Italian style of football. Well, they go out and they scored the first goal, and then there was nothing for half an hour.
Well, Hazard was non-existent for large portions of this game. You know,
Yep.
the Premier League's best player, so some people think, and some I personally don't think he is. I think there's several players ahead of him, but that's my thought. Because he just, let's say, you wouldn't have known he was playing at points in this game.
No, I mean, their start to the season was good, and you could see that defensive solidity that they had. But when you lose that and you play in the way that Sarri does as the Italian that he is, you can't just win by 1 goal in the Premier League.
No, it's impossible.
You're always going to be at risk when you're only 1 goal up.
Absolutely. Shall we move on to you guys?
Yeah, go on.
So a good 2-0 win for you at home to Bournemouth.
Thank God.
Everton have won a game. Isn't that one of the signs of the apocalypse?
Oh.
It was a very enjoyable game. I like this one as a neutral.
Stressed.
I can imagine you were stressed. as a neutral, I really enjoyed this. It could have been 4-0, could have been 3-0, could have literally been anything, this one.
Yeah, the first half, Bournemouth just seemed to outplay us.
Yeah, they were quicker.
Certainly for the first half an hour, and they just... It's like, we hadn't woken up yet.
No.
I don't know, it was the early kick-off on Sunday, but it was still 2:30 in the afternoon.
The points that struck me were, again, you need a striker. I can't stress, I say it every week, but Richarlison isn't a striker. I think he's wasted there.
Although I was very pleased with his work rate.
Oh, he played well, but he's not a striker.
No.
You know. Bernard is bizarre at times, and he was lucky not to be sent off, as was Gomez, I thought.
Gomez, yes.
It's surprising. You don't normally associate Everton with losing their heads, or Everton players losing their heads. They're normally quite...
I think the ref was to blame for
the ref was awful.
The ref was very, very poor.
Yeah,
and
I
don't think he helped Gomez and Bernard's attitude.
No, I think he was poor consistently for both sides. I don't think he had a particularly good game, the referee. I thought Klein played well, and what was his first Premier League start for Bournemouth? I thought he had a good game.
He looked like he'd been playing there all season.
Yep, he looks. If he can get back fitter and perhaps get back into the England contention, that can only be a good thing.
Yep.
I don't think Nathan Ake is at Bournemouth next season. I think he's too good for Bournemouth.
Okay.
I thought he almost got into my team of the week, and he was in my team of the week until Zuma scored. The clearance off the line, constantly in the way, constantly getting blocks in and headers out the box. I think he's a very good footballer, and I think he is too good for Bournemouth.
I think the chances that Bournemouth had in the first half, they needed Wilson up front.
Yep.
They missed him yesterday.
Very much so.
And I think if he'd have taken those chances, we'd have been nowhere in that game by the second half.
And a good goal for Calvert-Lewin.
Yes. I've seen a lot of fans on the Everton forums slagging him off, and he's a championship striker. But he's what, 21?
He's an unproved striker. He doesn't get enough game time.
He's come on, and in his last 9 home games, he's scored 7 goals.
I like him. I think he's a good talent, a raw talent.
How can you argue with that sort of stat?
I think that if you're a Fulham, a Cardiff, you should be looking to get him on loan, because he's not going to get enough first team football at you guys this season.
Well, I'd love to see him up front and Lookman also playing.
But that's not going to happen.
Stick Richarlison out on the left wing, Lookman on the right, because those two, link up for that final goal.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea.
Excellent.
But you've been screaming for different tactics all season, and I don't think that he's listening. I.e., Zuma starts with Mina rather than Keane. But I think if you're Calvert-Lewin, you've got to go out and play football now. You say you're 2021. There's players who are younger and that have played more Premier League minutes. You've got to go out and get first team football now, and perhaps just the rest of the season go out to Palace, Newcastle, Huddersfield, something like that. Get playing every week. Get used to the Premier League. I think that can only be beneficial to you in the long run. The other point I was going to make was Digne is fantastic. Very good signing for you guys.
He's a godsend, isn't he?
Oh, he's excellent.
I thought we were really going to struggle to replace someone of Baines' quality, but I think when a player comes into a club and he just fits.
Yeah. Oh, he fits brilliantly.
He's fitted in seamlessly.
It looks like he's been playing there for years.
Yeah.
He's a very good player. Coleman's still got a long way to go before getting back up to full fitness, I thought, and full Coleman. I'm a little bit disappointed of him since he's come back.
I'm not sure he'll ever find that again. I think his age may prevent him. He's 30 now, I believe, into his 30s.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
And yes, he's a good leading figure, and that's why he was captain. But I think he has lost that little bit of ability since that leg break.
I completely agree. Finally, on this one, you loved the look of Lookman.
Lookman was fantastic. I thought he was man of the match yesterday. He was positive. He always looked forward with the ball, and he just seemed to inject a bit of, skill and pace that you just don't get from Walcott.
One thing that did shock me a little bit, and I said it to you at half time, was that Begovic is poor, in my opinion.
Flappy.
It makes Mignolet look like he's got very strong wrists. I was surprised in the first half with the rain that was coming down. It was awful conditions at times. I couldn't, for the life of me, understand why, even as pot shots, you weren't just peppering him, because we've seen him make mistakes this season several times over. We've talked about it on this pod before. It's bucketing down of rain. It
was torrential,
just
wasn't it?
ping a few at him. He spilt. I remember the City game. He spilt one straight to, I think it was Jesus from Sterling. Just ping a few at him. It just surprised me a little bit on that one. For Liverpool, they stay top of the league, opening a 7-point gap, depending on how City get on against Wolves tonight. They weren't great. I've got a few points to go through, but the big news, if you like, was that they won the game.
Yeah, only 1-0, which, going to Brighton at home, yes, it's a good result. I thought Brighton played really quite solidly in the first half, especially.
They were compact. They didn't really have any great chances, but they contained Liverpool.
They went out with a game plan, which I think Chris Hughton does really well for them. He sets them up well to defend against those bigger teams.
He's a very underrated manager, Chris Hughton. It was a big win for Liverpool. It was a must-win. It's acceptable to lose to City. It was excusable to lose in the Cup.
Yes, with how many changes you made.
But they absolutely had to win this one. And I thought they weren't great, but they did enough. Fabinho is arguably better than Lovren at centre-back.
Yeah.
I thought he played really well, considering that's his... Premier League's a difficult league at the best of times, so then play out of position, I thought he played really well. I thought he had a really good game.
I didn't see Van Dijk need to shout at him once.
No, he did shout at Trent, though, at one point.
He?
Yeah, he absolutely... laid into Trent for not holding the line. I want to see that. I want to see Van Dijk go ballistic. Tell your players off when they're not doing it right. But yeah, if I say Fabinho made a really good block on Gross, which was absolutely key because that's going in. I think.
Yeah,
it's a stunning block.
He's read where the ball's going. He's read the game well there.
And it'd be easy for you to get caught out and play people on side. When it's not your natural position. But I thought he was excellent. Two other positions, if you like, that stood out for me in this one. Both the Liverpool fullbacks played very, very well. It's interesting. It was mentioned in commentary on 5 Live. Robertson was often the attacking outlet in the first half because he just doesn't stop running. He gets into positions. Lovely crossing for Firmino, who should have scored, and Trent put a brilliant cross in for Shaqiri, who equally should have scored. So
I think we're seeing more of that nowadays, where your attacking outlet is your fullback.
Yeah.
Because wingers won't track back on the fullbacks nowadays because they want to hit them on the counter.
Yeah.
And I think it makes for better games.
I agree. Two other players. Henderson isn't good enough. Henderson is not good enough for Liverpool. In the first half, we had a lot of possession in the midfield, and Brighton were happy to let us have possession because we couldn't do anything with the possession. Every time Henderson got it, he stopped, he slowed, he turned. You've got to push forward. You've already got slow lethargic players in midfield, which is fine. Ronaldo does that job excellently.
Yep.
Fabinho has been great at linking the attack and strike force together. Obviously, he can't do that so well when he's playing at centre back. There's no driving power of Keita in the way we set up. And every time Henderson got the ball, he was just slow, boring, backwards passing. Play a risky ball. It's Brighton away. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Do you think you need another central midfielder?
No, because Chamberlain will be back soon. Back in training.
But Milner's what, 33 now?
I think he'll outlive me. I think we arguably do, but let's not forget we have Keita, Wijnaldum, and Fabinho, who should be the Liverpool midfield for me.
Could you see Fabinho going permanently to centre back?
No, I think his passing's too good to go centre back. I think he's too intelligent going forward to play. He's wasted at centre back. He's a good option to have there if we run out of centre backs like we kind of have done. And he's probably a better bet than Matip or Lovren. When Gomez comes back, I think Gomez goes back into centre back and Fabinho's able to move properly back into midfield.
Yeah.
And I say Wijnaldum, Keita, Fabinho are the midfield options for me, with Milner and Henderson as backup. And I say when Chamberlain's back in the equation as well, I can't wait to get the Ox back. I really can't. Van Dijk, is he the best player in the league? We always talk best players being strikers and what have you, but is he the best player in the league? Because I think he is. I'll make the argument, but I'd like your thoughts first.
How many points has he won single-handedly for you? That's the question.
Lots.
that I base best players in the league on.
It's slightly more difficult to prove for that because obviously he doesn't score the goals. I mean, at the minute
but he also saves you points.
Yes, exactly. I cannot think in the modern era, and I'd be happy to pull up on this, but of one player that has changed the team so much. I know it's put you on the spot a little bit of that question, but since coming in, he has completely changed the football club. When the ball goes into the box,
has he done that?
I think he has.
Or has Klopp done that?
Well, Klopp's brought him in, but I remember last season when a ball went into the box, it was panic stages, alarm bells were ringing, people were fainting. You know, the ball was ending up in the net more often than not. Whether that was due to the keeper or...
I was going to say, is that because Alisson and Van Dijk have come in? Would it be the same if Van Dijk had come in and you hadn't changed your keeper?
To a point, yes, because I thought we saw it towards the end of last season. Liverpool were better defensively, even with the clown of Karius in goal. And actually, throughout the Champions League, take away the ridiculous second leg against Roma, Liverpool looked solid in the Champions League when Van Dijk was there. Shut teams out. They looked solid in the final. They limited Real Madrid to very few chances. The chances that they had, Karius had a complete meltdown, and they went in. So I think he has. For me, he's the best player in the Premier League.
Okay.
Anyway.
I still prefer... Well, I still see the best players in the Premier League, the ones that go out and win you the game single-handedly.
Fair enough. On a player like that, just quickly, Salah, penalty?
Yes. Yeah, this is a clearer penalty than the one against Newcastle.
Yeah, I think so.
You can see the shirt get tugged as he's trying to take the shot. But another thing on Salah, he has 48 goals in 59 games now. But that miss from 7 yards out, how did he not put that in the net?
It's a really bad miss, and one you can laugh about when you're winning the game 1-0. I actually want to just praise Kosciuszyn again, actually. I don't know if you saw his comments after the game where he came out and said that he feels really sorry for Gross. You're up against one of the best players in the league, and for him, there's no question it's a penalty. Yeah, it's rare a manager comes out and...
Gross shouldn't be in that situation. He's a winger. He's not a full-back or a centre-back. He shouldn't be in that position on the edge of the box.
No. But it's nice to have a manager who's had a penalty go against him, put his hands up and say, yeah, it's a penalty. Yeah. Because normally, managers will argue this point and say, no, definitely not, the referee's got it wrong. It was just nice to see a manager come out and go, yeah, hands up, it's a pen.
Yep.
Fair play. Where are we going next?
I think we should go down to the South Coast again. And Southampton against Leicester.
Well, it wasn't on the South Coast, it was in the Midlands, but...
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I think we should head off to the King Power.
Yes.
And Southampton against Leicester. A interesting game. Some controversy.
Yep.
Some questionable decisions by players and referees.
Yep.
Where do you want to start?
Well, first I want to start off by just praising myself, if I may. Earlier on the pod, we looked, not today's pod, a previous pod, we looked at Cardiff's win at Leicester, and I posited how many other teams can you see going to Leicester and getting a result, and I did pick out Southampton as one of those teams that could do so.
Yes, you got that right.
I did.
Result.
Hasenhüttl,
Bless you.
thank you, has absolutely revolutionised this football club from where they were. Go back 2 months. This is unrecognisable.
It's amazing the difference there is between the Mark Hughes side and Hasenhüttl's side. There's chasms between them. They just seem to be playing. They know where their teammates are. They know how they want to play. They can defend well. They've got a decent keeper. I don't know. What was Hughes up to?
Well, it's almost like if you don't coach players and don't sort of teach tactics and stuff like that,
Yeah.
then they don't win games. And
Yeah.
Hasenhüttl's come in, he's changed the way they play, they press a bit higher now, and they just look very good. Shane Long scored. I mean, that is testament to obviously how well Hasenhüttl's doing if you can get Shane Long scoring.
He's part of my stat of the week this week.
I look forward to hearing about that. And he's not the greatest player in the world, Shane Long, and he wasn't the greatest finish, but they all count.
Yep.
I thought that Southampton deserved it. I thought they were better for the large portion of the game. Redmond's particularly impressive, and I think that Southampton are safe. They've improved so immensely in such a short space of time. You see them picking up enough wins. Okay, they'll probably get battered here or there by the big sides, but actually, you look at sort of what should we say, 8th down. They're capable of beating any team from 8th down. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's not something you could say about all the other teams down there. I wouldn't be surprised if Southampton reach mid-table.
No, I could see them probably finishing 13th,
Yeah, that's
12th maybe.
Respectable season for them.
And after the start they've had, that's certainly respectable.
Was it a penalty on Ward-Prowse?
Yes.
Yep.
Mendy was terribly clumsy for that.
He was poor all game, clumsy.
He's
And
got turned round and then he's just bundled into the back of him, and yeah, it's a definite penalty for me.
all day long. I agree with that. It wasn't a penalty for Vardy.
No, what is he doing?
It's a dive.
He should be booked.
The thing is, though, he got away with this during the Leicester winning season. We all got on board with it. Oh, that's clever play. It's clever play. This was
It's not. This is blatant. This is. You can see him drag his leg towards the Southampton defender and then flick his leg up.
Yeah, it's poor.
There's no contact at all.
Should have been dived.
Should have been booked.
Should have been
yes.
booked. Should have been booked. Sorry. Talking of dives, Valerie, why don't you come on over? I mean, this was bizarre, wasn't it? I mean, I think actually put this into context as well. Southampton played for the majority of this game with 10 men after some absolute stupidity from Valerie.
55 minutes down to 10 men they were. Valerie had a good old tussle with Chilwell a couple of times.
Yep.
And definitely came off second best.
The thing is, if you're on a booking, don't dive. I mean, look, I don't want to encourage booking, but if you're only going to get a booking for it, sometimes it's worth it because you might get the penalty and it might get you the 3 points. That's not how the romantics want me to talk, but that is the cold hard facts, isn't it? I think Salah against Newcastle epitomised that. What's the worst that can happen? You'll get booked. Somebody on Dan24 from Rotherham will make a nasty tweet about you on social media. Then it's all forgotten.
Apologies for anyone Dan called 24 from
who thinks that Salah is a fantastic player and never dies.
Yeah.
But
Valerie and Chilwell.
Valerie had an interesting performance. Why don't you come on over, Valerie?
Yes, him and Chilwell were at it for most of the game until he got sent off.
Yes, should have been sent off for the horrendous attempt at dive. Well, but it was the horrendous attempt to try to win a penalty, also known as a ridiculous dive.
But yeah, his tussle with Chilwell, I mean, unnecessary, and then retaliates. Both get booked for that.
Yeah, silly.
And then
scrappy handbags.
Soon after that, another player gets the wrong side of you and you push him in the back, and it's a stupid second yellow.
Well, it is considering there was no goal threat really.
No.
Just bizarre, yellow cards. But he didn't bother when he got sent off. It was always like he'd forgotten to tape something on the telly and he was desperate to get home to watch it.
Yeah, but I think Southampton after that did play well for only having 10 men.
Yes, I thought they were fantastic. Yeah, he should have been booked for the dive. He was too hot-headed throughout. The second year, there was nothing short of sheer stupidity, and he's let Southampton down. Thankfully, they get away with it. Puel, I don't think he'll be there much longer. Interesting, at the end of the game, somebody asked him about his future. He said he has no comment. Do you care about losing? I don't comment on this. I mean...
Yeah, it's an interesting turn of phrase. I know English isn't his first language, but he's been here long enough to understand the questions that he's being asked.
Yes, the barriers are up, aren't they?
Yeah, he's very closed off, and I don't think the fans are going to like that at all.
No, and to be outplayed at home by Southampton. That's not good enough for Leicester City. Burnley and Fulham. Burnley win a game without a single shot on target. Discuss.
It was... Right, we'll start with the Fulham goal. Wow.
Yes.
What a touch and what a finish.
Where has he been, by the way, Scherzer?
Oh, he pops up occasionally.
Yeah, pops up.
I think that was part of the reason that he went back to Germany, because he wasn't quite performing well enough in the Premier League. And then the comedy of errors that is Fulham's defence still.
Oh, it's so sad. It's laughable, isn't it?
You'd have thought with Ranieri going in there, he built a team at Leicester which had a fairly good record for not letting goals in.
Yeah.
You'd think he'd be able to build something at Fulham. I know the quality of players probably isn't quite as good.
No, but just basic organisation, isn't it?
Yeah.
And concentration. I mean, I think that both the own goals are absolutely outrageous in the sense that the first one's just a lazy flick by Ryan. To me, he's flicks himself at it.
Well, he's recovering from the penalty appeal, isn't he?
He is, but it's lazy.
I think if the ball doesn't go in, then the penalty may have been given.
It may have been, but don't just sort of dangle your leg out.
Yeah.
Make a block. And the second one is careless. Don't flick a header. Why are you flicking a header across the box like that? Get it out!
Well, he's running back towards goal, isn't he?
But flick it out for a corner.
And
leave it.
Cross coming in isn't that much of a threat. It's going towards the edge of the box.
Why would you flick it across the box for? If you're going to get something on it, get it out for a corner, get shouted at by the keeper, and then reset. I don't understand what you're trying to... It's a great header, don't get me wrong, but I just don't understand why he feels he has to make that call.
Yeah, the two own goals in that game, that's the first time that's happened since January 2017.
I mean, this was a huge 6-pointer for both, and Fulham really just shoot themselves in the foot. Great start, in control, as I say, 2 silly own goals, and that's, for me, that could well be curtains for them as well, because they can't realistically change manager again.
No.
I don't think their squad is good enough, even though they've spent a lot of money. Mitrovic may come good and get enough goals to keep them up, but actually I'm looking at teams above them, and the teams above them are, in the main, stronger.
Yeah, the sort of like notably 3 teams above them, Burnley, Southampton and Cardiff, all seem to have enough about them at the moment to be scoring goals and keeping clean sheets when it's necessary, and Fulham can't seem to do it either.
Plus, Newcastle and Cardiff are difficult to beat at home, and Southampton are pretty good on the road.
Yeah.
And Fulham are just poor, period. Yeah, for me, they're in trouble.
I thought it was quite an exciting match once it was 2-1 to Burnley.
Yeah,
it was end to end. There was that Tarkowski goal line clearance.
Yep.
Which, great positioning by him. He saw where the danger was coming from, realised that Heaton wasn't going to go there.
Yep.
I was quite surprised to see Heaton start.
Happy to see Heaton start, though. I think the Burnley fans were too. I think they've had enough of Hart.
Yeah, he played very, very well. Although Hart's been playing well this season.
He has, but the reason that Burnley was so good last year in a way was the bedrock that was Heaton. He was such a crucial part to the way Burnley performed last year. And I think that defenders have a bit of a hang-up about Joe Hart. They probably feel safer with Heaton behind them than Joe Hart behind them.
Yeah.
Okay, one more, 2 more?
2 more.
2 more. Let's rattle through these then. Palace Watford. It was an enjoyable one. Took a while to get going. Simmered.
Yeah, it was back to a Palace from early season. Loads and loads of chances. Just didn't take enough of them.
No.
I think before Watford got a foothold in that game, Palace could have been out of sight. Although Watford hit the post twice early on.
They did.
And the goal-mouth scramble for that Crystal Palace goal was
tremendous.
It was fantastic.
More of that in the Premier League, please.
No one knew who had scored, whether it actually gone across the line, and then it had gone across the line, and we still weren't sure who scored. And it ended up to be a Cathcart own goal.
Then redemption in second for him with the first strike, and cleverly done by Tom.
Yes, it was a sweet volley, wasn't it?
Lovely technique.
Considering he's been out for a year now with an Achilles injury, he's done well.
Palace won't go down, will they?
No, I don't think so. Although they couldn't take the chances in this game, I think they will begin to take their chances. I saw that Benteke had come back, came on and made an appearance. The
final game of the weekend saw Cardiff and Huddersfield play probably the worst game for quality the Premier League's ever seen, and Huddersfield deserved to be relegated for their horrendous away kit. Oh my word, Stabilo marker pen.
I was going to say you're not a fan of the Highlands.
No! Awful. Deserved relegation for that. I mean, there wasn't a great deal to talk about in this game other than 2 penalty appeals. One for Cardiff on Hoylett. No penalty for you?
No, I think it was Hadazanai got there just in time, managed to nick the ball. He got a lot of the player, I do agree, but I think he's importantly got a touch on the ball.
I think it's probably a penalty myself. As did Neil Warnock, so I have lots in common with Neil Warnock.
Oh dear.
Who, bizarrely went onto a Brexit rant this week, but anyway, fine. Huddersfield now obviously have departed company with Wagner this evening. They should have had a penalty for me given by the referee and then overturned by the linesman. Bizarre.
Yeah, it was weird. It was Bennett that had seemed to give the penalty away.
Foul for me.
Ball was coming down, he controlled it with his head, and then he's realised there's a player behind him, and when he looks to where that player is, he knows where he's coming from. Yeah. It's not a slip, it's not anything like that. I think it should have been a penalty.
And a red card, because he's not made any attempt to play the ball.
No, it's a goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah. To me, I think Wagner was right to be outraged by this. I'm not really sure what Warnock thought he saw to say he was thankful to have an experienced linesman.
Well, he said there wasn't enough contact, but Bennett knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's a penalty. All I will say, Neil, if that's on camera down the other end, you are literally spitting blood.
Yeah.
So. Shane Wagner's had to part company with Huddersfield, probably the right decision though. They haven't been great. There's that now. They've lost 8 on the bounce, and obviously a point in a game they had to win.
Yeah, they say he's left by mutual consent, but I think with the run of games that they've had and not being able to win any in that stretch, you can understand why the decision is made, whether it is more by the board or more by him.
Yep.
Unfortunately, sad to see, as we said last week, but it'll be interesting to see who replaces him.
Yeah, quick prediction.
Either Pardew or Moyes.
Big Sam to Huddersfield's got a ring to it. Big Sam in Huddersfield. But we shall have to see. We shall have to wait and see. I'm going Huddersfield. Going Big Sam, sorry, but we shall see. Well, the referee has put up the board, or the 4 officials put up the board at least. We're into added time at the end of the first half, so we've got time to do Team of the Week, Combined 11 of the Week, Player of the Week, and Villain of the Week. We should be able to rattle through this because I think we're in agreement for a lot of these. So we'll do the Combined 11 of the Week first. Goalkeeper.
There's only one, isn't there?
There's only one, David De Gea.
Outstanding performance this week. Won Man United that game.
Very good. Right back, I've gone Zabaleta. I thought for a man of his age, he was rolling back the years against Arsenal. Never looked troubled. Offered good attacking threat. Crucial player to West Ham.
I thought although Crystal Palace lost, Wan-Bissaka again played really well.
Yep.
And I think on fantasy football, he got bonus points this week, despite
seeing
not
2 goals.
Keeping a clean sheet. Yes.
Very good. Centre backs, I've gone for Zuma, obviously goal scorer for you guys, and generally played quite well. And Fabinho to fit, as we said in the look over Liverpool game, to fit so seamlessly into that back 4, and played better than arguably than Lovren has done in the past. I think it has to be commended.
Yeah, I toyed with putting Fabinho in there, but in the end I went for Tarkowski because that goal line clearance and that Luis assist. I thought he should have. I think he should have scored as well.
Yes.
But yeah, Tarkowski and Luis centre back for me.
Very good. And the left back, Andy Robertson for me, as I mentioned in the review, often the attacking outlet for Liverpool. £8 million, absolute bargain.
I went for another Merseysider. I went for Digne for the assist for the Zuma goal, and again his consistency.
Very good. Midfield 4 of Nasri, superb. Pogba ran the show. Rice, excellent for West Ham, and Willian won a goal.
I agree on 3 of those: Rice, Pogba, and Nasri. But I've gone 5 in midfield. Hendrick effectively had both the assists for the own goals. And looked really quite positive for Burnley, and Lookman because he was man of the match in our game.
Struggled with strikers this week, but I've gone for Salah. Good penalty, had a couple of chances. He's looking to get back to his best now, I think. And Schürrle, great goal. It's difficult to keep him out when you score a thunder bastard like that.
I went for Rashford because he always seemed to be United's outlet, and of course he got the winning goal.
Fair enough. Moving on to Team of the Week, Player of the Week and Villain of the Week. My Team of the Week is Southampton. I thought they played very well away at Leicester. They looked very, very good and comfortable in possession and created a fair few chances.
Yeah, they're on the up now, aren't they?
Very much so.
I went for West Ham in the early kick-off on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be gelling as a team now, and you remember that season where they finished 7th, got into the Europa League? I think it was under Pardew.
I think it was, yeah.
And they may be coming back to a team of that quality.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Player of the week and villain of the week we've both agreed on, so we'll quickly rattle through that. De Gea is player of the week, won the game.
Superb.
And villain of the week, Valerie, idiot.
Well put. Yeah, it's complete stupidity from him.
Sheer stupidity. Well, the referee's blown his whistle. That is half time, which allows us to have a quick word with Statman Sam and also have a quick roundup of our Fantasy Premier League. Just rattle through the fantasy football here. How did you do thus far? Obviously, City 1-0 up on Wolves as we speak.
I got 66 points at the moment. I haven't got any other players to play, so that will be my finishing score. I was really disappointed. I forgot to make my changes before the game started this weekend. And
Rookie.
Therefore I had Etheridge with 10 on the bench, Robertson with 9, Rashford with 7, and then Kante with 2.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed.
I did okay, 73 points for me with another 2 to come on because Wilson didn't play, so I will finish the week on 75, which is very good. Etheridge in goal, very good. Digne got me 12,
Yep.
Salah captain, so that's 22, Rashford, Liverpool big player, with 7. My bench, I did have Van Dijk on my bench for 7, which is quite irritating. But there we go. That is fantasy.
I think I would have bought on Robertson for Wan-Bissaka before the weekend and Rashford for Herrera. And I would have captained Salah.
He still got away with it to a point.
Stat of the week with Statman Sam.
Well, I have 2 stats for you this week. Jorginho. We all know him for being a fantastic passer.
We do.
He's made 1,997 passes in the league this season.
Very good.
How many assists do you think he's had?
None.
You'd be correct. He has the most passes in the league with no assists.
It's bizarre.
Considering he was a player brought in to be a playmaker for Chelsea, and he just doesn't seem to have done it. And my second stat of the week is, so you said earlier that Shane Long had scored, finally. His first goal since April last year, but his last 4 goals at Southampton have come under 4 different managers.
That's fantastic. That's brilliant. Well, the players are back on the pitch. It's time for the second half of the show, which are the weekend's predictions. We'll go through and predict ourselves. Last week we got 4 right each, so 4 points for each of us, the closest we've ever had.
And with tonight's game, City 1-0 up and Wolves a man down, I may be on for another one.
You may well win this one, I think, because I don't see us finishing 2-2 after all. Right, we'll start with the aforementioned Wolves. They're the early kick-off on Saturday against Leicester. How do you see this one panning out?
Well, having just seen one of their centre-backs get sent off, I'm not sure who would come in to replace him, maybe Roman Saiss. Leicester away, Claude Puel under quite a lot of pressure. He needs a win. He really does need a win in this match. And I think Wolves maybe on a downer.
Yep.
2-1 Leicester.
2-1 Leicester. I'm going 2-0 Leicester. Wolves don't do particularly well against these sort of teams. Puel will be defensive. And Wolves, I just want them to get a result tonight. Bournemouth West Ham. This is an interesting one. Obviously, Bournemouth won at the London Stadium earlier in the season 2-0. Goal from David Brooks as he announced himself into the Premier League. But West Ham are a different team to the one that played Bournemouth at the start of the season, and Bournemouth are a different team that played West Ham.
A much changed West Ham team from the start of the season, yes. After their confidence from the win against Arsenal, Bournemouth on a really poor run at the moment.
They really are.
They really need to end it. I'd like to see them end it here. I think West Ham are going to have a down day. It might depend whether Arnautovic plays.
Yep.
Or whether he's gone. I'm going for 2-0 Bournemouth.
Interesting.
I think Wilson will be back.
If he's not gone to Chelsea. I'm going to go for 1-0 on this one. I see them cancelling each other out. I think it will be quite a close game. Both sides will attack. There could be chances galore, but I see a draw. I'm going to go 1-0 on this one. Liverpool Palace. Palace have been a bit of a bogey team for Liverpool in recent seasons, particularly at Anfield. They won there last year, I believe. It's a banana skin, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly with the way that Palace played at the Etihad as well. If Palace can pull out a performance like that, then anything could happen in
I hadn't
this
thought
game.
of that. That's worried me slightly.
Yeah.
Oh god, my heart's bracing a bit now. I hadn't thought of that.
It would be a hell of a stat for them, wouldn't it, to beat the two leading teams in the...
Well, that'll blow it wide open as well when
Yeah, it
City
would.
would presumably cut the points to only one, as they're going to win here tonight, aren't they?
Most likely.
Please, Wolves get any. But that said, I think this is a different Liverpool side to one that we've seen in the past. We don't concede many goals. I'm confident. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Liverpool. I see us having too much for Palace.
I'm going for... You're at home. Palace aren't going to score. 3-0 Liverpool. I think you need a big result at the moment.
Fair enough. Man United, Brighton. They lost this game at the Amex earlier in the season, but they're a different team, as we said about West Ham. This is a very different Manchester United side.
Yeah.
Brighton, away from home, nowhere near as good. At home, I see a big win again for United. I'm going to go 4-1.
I don't see a big win for United. I think they might just scrape through. There's going to be a blip somewhere.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I still think they'll have enough at Old Trafford. Brighton don't tend to do well on the road. I'm going to go for 1-0 United.
Newcastle Cardiff, 6-pointer.
Oh, very much so. Only a point between them in the table at the moment. Newcastle at home though.
These 6-pointers this season have ended up being 0-0 draws, so I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw. It appears that when it comes down to a 6-pointer, teams don't seem to want to take those points. Cardiff away from home aren't very good, but if they can win here, then I think they're probably safe. So yeah, I think that when it's come to 6-pointers, neither side's wanting to take the points. A win for Cardiff, and that really does help their their staying up credentials. But I'm going to go 0-0.
Newcastle are going to win this 2-0.
Very good.
Rondon's going to have a game.
Southampton, they are hosting Everton.
Yes.
Worried?
A little. With the way that Southampton have been playing and our shocking performance in the first half, yes, I am a little worried. Although Southampton may only have one fit striker at the moment in Long. I know that Ings and Austin and Obafemi weren't fit this weekend. I can see this being a draw.
I think they win this, Southampton. I don't think you're particularly strong on the road.
No, we're not this season.
You're a little bit flappable at defence. Bournemouth showed that. Southampton have got no option but to go for it in every game they're in now. That's the nature of where they are in the Premier League. So with that in mind, I'm going to go for Southampton to win this one 2-0.
I'm going to go for 1-1.
Watford host Burnley. Burnley on the up, but I think their sort of up stops here. I think Watford will have too much for them. Simply, I'm going to go for 3-1 to Watford.
I think it might be closer than you anticipate. Watford were shaky against Palace at first.
Yep.
Burnley, yes, been on a good run, but I do agree with you. I think Watford will have a little bit too much for them, and I think it will end 1-0 to Watford.
1-0. Tea time sees Arsenal host Chelsea.
Game of the weekend, I reckon.
I think you're probably right. And Arsenal have no defence. Chelsea look shaky at the back. This could be a real humdinger, so it's going to be 0-0.
0-0, yeah. Can I see the team winning this on current form?
See, Arsenal win. I don't know. Arsenal tend to pull out a performance in these sort of games, like they did against Tottenham.
I think both teams will score.
Yep.
But it could go either way as to who wins it, if there is a winner.
Yeah, I think that Arsenal will capitulate because that's what Arsenal tend to do. I'm going to go for 3-1 Chelsea. I think it'll be close for a while, and then Chelsea will go 2-up and go 3-up quite quickly.
I don't see where the goals come from for Chelsea. That's my issue.
Hazard likes a game against Arsenal.
He does tend to turn up in the big games, you're right.
Willian likes a goal in the big games.
I'm going to go for 2-1 Chelsea then.
Fair enough, I convinced you. Moving on to Sunday, we see...
Cricket scores.
Quite possibly, yes. Huddersfield City.
Oh, where do I start?
1-0 Huddersfield.
Any raise on 4-0 City?
You see...
Or should we go cautious? I'll go cautious. 3-0 City is my prediction.
I'll go 1-0 Huddersfield.
Really?
Yep.
You're just hopeful.
Yep. New manager bounce, all that.
I don't think they'll have a new manager in by next weekend.
You never know. Difficult place to go, John Smith's, up north, on a Sunday. Trains will be buggered. Nah, going to win that one. I've accidentally put 0-37. I will change it back to 0-3. Come on, Huddersfield. Terriers do me proud.
And then London Derby.
Yeah, this could be a cricket score as well.
Yeah, it could. 7-0 Fulham?
Depends if Harry Kane's fit.
Yeah, the injury at the end of the match against United did look slightly concerning.
Yep.
He didn't seem to want to get up, whether that was through exhaustion and the injury or whether it was just the injury.
Disappointment as well, I think,
Yeah.
will be thrown into there.
Bounce back, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Although Son will have gone to the Asian Cup,
I don't think they'll need him.
no, I think this will be 4-0.
I'm going to go 5-1. I think that Fulham's score, Tottenham's defence is a little bit shaky this season. The Reese is a little bit shaky. You can see Mitrovic just nicking a really scruffy goal, which makes absolutely no difference to the overall outcome. Right, well, that concludes the preview part of the show. We'll now move into the AOB. Sam, where do you want to start AOB for this week?
Let's start with the slightly sad news of David Wagner going.
Yep.
There's been a statement released this evening to say that he's left the club by mutual consent.
Yep.
Which is understandable, because I think with the achievements that he's had with Huddersfield, you wouldn't want to sack a manager like that.
But there is an air to this of he's taken him as far as he can.
Yes. Yeah, I think they're looking like they've been struggling. Obviously, they haven't won in their last 8 or 9 games. And I think this is probably the right time, although I don't think there'll be much investment. I think they might grab a few loan signings that could help them stabilise. But unfortunately, I don't see them coming back from where they are.
No, I'll review entirely. I don't see it.
Other teams that have had 10 points, 21 games into the season, none of them have stayed up.
No,
they've all finished bottom. I think it's the right decision for him and the club.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. As you say, it's sad when you see a manager lose their job. He's obviously done very well to get Huddersfield where they are. However, there comes a point where you can take that club no further, and I think that Huddersfield and Wagner are at that point. They're not a Premier League club. They've done remarkable to get there. They've done remarkable to stay there for a season. But the truth of the matter is they're not a Premier League football club. And at some point, you have to accept that. Wagner's probably worn out, I'd have thought, from the constant trying to achieve something in the Premier League. Second season syndrome really has hit. I don't think he is to blame as such. He's bought what he could in the transfer market. There wasn't a great deal of money available to him.
They've been very tight on their transfers.
Which you can understand, because you don't want to see... We've seen so many clubs do this, whether it be Blackpool, whoever, they spring to mind, where you don't look further enough into the future. You sign big players on big money.
Yeah.
You go down. Sunderland's another good example. You go down and you absolutely fall apart.
Yeah, same with Portsmouth. Happened at Leeds as well. Huddersfield aren't a club that you really want to see that happen to.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I like Huddersfield, and it's great seeing them come up, and Patrick Stewart dancing, and absolutely all about all of that. Love it. But there comes a point where it's a results business, but you also have to just look at what is actually realistic, and Huddersfield staying in the Premier League is not realistic. That said, go smash City next weekend, boys. Terriers forever.
I think, just to throw a name into the hat, I know we discussed who the manager might be taking over.
Yep.
But the fact that Stoke got rid of theirs, I can't think of his name right.
Gary Rowett.
Yes. Now, he was said to be a very promising manager whilst he was at Derby. Mm-hmm. Could you see him getting the opportunity with them thinking to next season, rather than bringing in a Big Sam to try and keep you up? Because I don't think they're going to be kept up.
That's a good question. You want a good Championship manager?
Yes.
Neil Warnock? Though, why would you leave Cardiff at this moment in time?
I'm thinking of a Championship manager that has been sacked this season.
Ita Karanka.
Possibility.
I thought he was very harshly sacked by Forest. Ita Karanka. I think he's done okay there. It'd be interesting to see if Nigel Clough maybe goes there. Burton moves up to... Yeah. I think there's some good managers around in that division. Pulis would be I think a good fit for Huddersfield, but again, why would you leave Middlesbrough, particularly if you get back in the Premier League?
But aside where Gary Rowett was at Stoke, sacked him for understandable reasons. They weren't performing to the expectations they had, but I think Gary Rowett is a good manager.
I partially agree, although Gary Rowett has had several clubs now as well. He's been around quite a lot already. Here it has an air to him of Gary Monk. He started off very, very promising.
Yeah.
I think when Gary Monk first started at Swansea, we thought, wow, this is a really young, refreshing not English, but promising British young manager. And he's now rather been around the grounds a little bit, around the clubs, around the houses, and has lost a fair amount of his reputation. I think the same's happening to Gary Rowett now. Huddersfield have to be realistic. What are their aims and ambitions? Because getting back in the Premier League should not be it for me, because that's a bit, I don't want to sound rude or anything like that, but it's a bit pie in the sky. Huddersfield should never have been in the Premier League if you look at the clubs that they beat to get here. Do you know what I mean? They're a small club. It's great they're here, don't get me wrong.
They've well outperformed their stature.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's difficult. I know what you mean about the rebuilding job. I mean, what do Huddersfield do now? Do they try and consolidate themselves to become a strong championship team? Do they try and get straight back up? It's so difficult to sort of...
Well, you've seen this teams that went down last season, they've really struggled. I think it's only West Brom that look like they may be coming back up, straight back up.
Yeah, but that's also because of Stoke's sort of project fell apart, where they're bringing all these amazing players, Bojan, etc. That fell apart. West Brom kept a very good manager that the club and fans love, in Darren Moore. I forgot who was it. Swansea went down again, lost a lot of their players, swapped around the coaches, and the Championship is a very difficult division. There's the thing is that there's 10 or 11 Premier League clubs in that division.
Oh, most definitely.
You know, and there's no disrespect to the clubs that are in the Premier League. I love having Bournemouth, Brighton, etc. because they bring something to the Premier League. Burnley, not so much, but there's some great teams in the Premier League. But also, let's not forget, in the Championship, Villa, Derby, Forest, Leeds, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, Borough.
Teams that have had Premier League pedigree for several years beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. And still have the Premier League infrastructure at the clubs.
Yeah.
So I think the question for Huddersfield now has to be, what realistically are their aims? Because I don't think their aim should be to get straight back into the Premier League, because for me that's not realistic. They're going into an incredibly tough division where there are 7 or 8 clubs that are all trying to get back to the Premier League. And also, the interesting question is that what Huddersfield players are back in the Premier League next season? I struggle to name many.
Yeah, I don't think there are many. I think maybe
Billing,
Pritchard, and maybe Moy.
And possibly Lursel, other than that.
Yeah, Lursel has done well for them this
but
season.
But other than that, that's my point. Other than that, who do you bring?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem, isn't it? They're not a Premier League team. As simple as that. My OB, it's not Premier League. What have you made of Spygate?
Hey.
Because the self-righteousness of people in this is really grinding my gears. Henry Winter is a football correspondent for one of the papers. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. It might be the Times or it might be the Mirror. I honestly can't remember. And he's going to say how bad it is, basically, to summarise it. It's naughty, it's wrong. Didn't the English press leak the England lineups in the World Cups in the past? Because I seem to remember they did. And Gary Neville seemed to remember that they did, and he made this point as well. That the English press has spied on England's team in the past and has managed to leak that to the press. Now, spying is not good on the face of it, but
no, effectively it is a form of cheating. But
I wouldn't go that far.
There's no rule within the game apart from bringing the game into disrepute.
Yeah, which I don't think this does.
That says that you can't spy.
I wouldn't go as far as say it's cheating, because realistically, what do you actually learn from spying on a training session? I think that what Bielsa said was that he was there to see if Wilson was back in training, because Wilson's also been Derby's best player this season, arguably, and obviously if he's playing, it's a different dynamic.
What was the same person doing there at the start of the season then?
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Bielsa said he's done it all the time, and Pochettino has also come out to say that's how it's done in Argentina. For me, I have no problem with it, because I think it's going on all over the place, and this is just one idiot that got caught. I can't remember who mentioned it. It might have been Robbie Savage on 606, saying that when he's done training sessions with Wales, there's suddenly a couple of stewards in the stand in their yellow jackets. Are they actually stewards, or are they there to have a spy? And
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of training grounds around the UK where you can see into quite easily. And the technology that we have nowadays, I've heard people say that they've been surprised that there aren't more drones about.
Yep.
And seeing how teams are training, how they're tactically setting up, what they're doing with their set pieces, whether they've got any certain styles of play. But there's enough footage nowadays that you don't need to do it.
No, I mean YouTube and your match of the day reels, etc. But that's why I don't think it's that big a problem. I don't think you can glean much information from a single training session. And for me, I say this is something that is being done probably week in, week out. This was just one that got caught.
It was interesting to see Bielsa own up to it
Yeah.
just before the match, said straight up in the interview, although it was translated, that he's been doing it all the time. He takes full responsibility for it, not to the club. I think he's covering his own arse there.
He is, but I also
making sure that they don't get any sort of like stupid points deduction.
I think a
or
point
something
deduction
like
is
that.
ridiculous, personally. I think there's bigger things to worry about in the world of football. A chap stood on a box with a pair of binoculars looking to see if Wilson is playing or not.
Do you think there'll be a retrospective fine?
A fine, maybe. I would. See, the problem is that I fundamentally have no problem with what he's done. That's my point here. Leeds outplayed Derby in the game.
Yeah.
Spy or no spy, they're outplayed Derby. You can blame the fact you've lost on the spying if you like, but anyone who saw the game and likes football, who's not trying to push a particular agenda, sees that Derby were outplayed by Leeds.
Yeah, Leeds have been by far, for me, the best team in the Championship this season, in the way that they've played their football and the way that they've gone about things.
For me, I say it's not a problem. I think we see much worse with away from the world of football, political spying, but back into the world of football, journalists do this all the time. How many look, you've got the BBC sport page up there, and they've got a whole page dedicated to gossip. Now, where do these leaks come from?
Well, a few of them, they've got to be made up, because some of them are just astronomically wrong.
But also think back to when Mourinho was in charge of any team's been at leaks. It's not quite the same as spying, but my point is that the press and this sort of thing, they're all in the know.
Yeah, certain things are let out on purpose.
But also certain things get out by mistake when they shouldn't do. I remember the Bellamy Risa Golf Club incident way back when that came out and it shouldn't have, because a player.
You mean that wasn't meant to come out?
No, a player leaked it. I can't remember who leaked it at the time. My point is that this sort of thing happens for me all the time. There's bigger things to worry about in the world of football. There's bigger things to worry about in the world. I personally have no problem with it. Well, as ever, thank you for listening to A Game of Two Halves. We hope you enjoyed the pod as ever. Do feel free to leave us a review or get in contact with us on one of our social media pages. The links to those are coming up. Until then, have a great week. Come on, Wolves, and see you next week. Thank you for listening to A Game of Two Halves. Please subscribe and leave a review.
You can also find us on our social media, on Instagram at A Game of Two Halves Pod, and on Twitter at @A_game of. You can also email us at gameoftwohalvespod@gmail.com.